We catfished a predator who was stalking my sister, but he ended up confessing to police. Leah showed me the 14th message at 11 o'clock on a Friday night, her hands shaking as she held her phone toward me in my apartment. The text said he knew what route she took home from work, knew she stopped at the coffee shop on Maple Street every morning at 7:15, knew she lived alone in the garden apartment with the blue door. Keith Donnelly had been messaging her for 6 weeks, ever since she'd politely declined his dinner invitation at a work conference in Denver. He was a regional sales director for a medical supply company, 43 years old, divorced, and apparently incapable of accepting rejection. The messages had started friendly, then persistent, then increasingly threatening as Leah continued ignoring them. This latest one crossed into territory that made my stomach clench with fear and rage. I asked if she'd reported him to the police, and Leah said she'd tried twice. The first officer had told her that unwanted messages weren't technically illegal unless they contained explicit threats. The second officer had been more sympathetic, but explained that without direct threats of violence, there was nothing they could do except suggest she block his number and stay aware of her surroundings. I looked at my younger sister sitting on my couch, 26 years old and terrified to walk to her own car, and something shifted in me. Leah had always been the careful one, the rule follower who colored inside the lines and trusted that systems worked if you followed proper procedures. She'd reported Keith through her company's HR department, blocked his number, documented every message he sent from new numbers, filed 2 police reports, and done everything she was supposed to do. None of it had stopped him. The messages kept coming from burner phones and anonymous email accounts. He'd started appearing places she frequented, always maintaining just enough distance to claim coincidence if confronted. Her company's HR had investigated and determined that since the initial contact happened at a conference rather than in the workplace, it was a personal matter outside their jurisdiction. They'd suggested she get a restraining order, which required evidence of imminent threat that she didn't legally have. The system was failing her systematically, and Keith knew it. I asked Leah what she wanted to happen, and she said she wanted him to stop. She wanted to feel safe going to work, buying groceries, existing in the world without constantly checking over her shoulder. She wanted to sleep without nightmares about him breaking into her apartment. Most of all, she wanted someone to make him understand that no meant no, that women weren't puzzles to be solved through persistence. I told her I had an idea that was probably illegal and definitely risky, but might actually work. Leah asked what kind of idea, and I explained we could catfish him. Create a fake online persona, make contact, get him to admit his stalking behavior, and potentially reveal if he'd done this to other women. Then we'd have concrete evidence for police and potentially his employer. Leah was quiet for a long moment before saying that felt like fighting dirty. I pointed out that Keith had already been fighting dirty for 6 weeks while we'd been trying to use proper channels. Maybe it was time to meet him where he lived, in the realm of deception and manipulation. My best friend Jenna was a cybersecurity analyst who owed me several favors after I'd helped her through a brutal divorce the previous year. I called her Saturday morning and explained the situation without mentioning any names or illegal activities. Jenna immediately understood what I was asking and said she could help create an untraceable online identity that would withstand scrutiny. She came over that afternoon with her laptop and a determined expression that suggested she'd dealt with predators before, either personally or professionally. We spent 4 hours constructing a persona, and what happened next changed everything. To see the full story, click the link below or go on my channel.